jadi the first 10 siapa?
Firstnya Afina.
Saya, Pak.
Afina ya. Oke, Afina. Afina siap ya? Ready?
Ya, Pak.
Oke. Ya Allah, Bapak akan pindahkan dulu, akan take host dulu ya. Host dulu. Dan yang lain, coba lihat paparan, kita dengarkan bersama-sama paparan dari teman kita si Afina. Oke. Ya, Afina, now you are the host. You can control the Zoom. Okay, everyone, let's listen to our friend's presentation, which is about a brief history of language teaching. Okay, Afina, the time is yours. Mic-nya masih di mute.
Oke. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Today I will explain about previous material about history of language teaching. So me, I am Afina Arianto and my partner Fira Yulianti. So 1969 and Howard 1984 have demonstrated that many current issues in a language teaching are not particularly new. Today's controversy reflects contemporary response to questions that have been asked often throughout the history of language teaching. It has been estimated that some 60% of today's world population is multilingual, but of contemporary and historical perspective, bilingualism or multilingualism is the norm rather than the exception. It is fair then to say that throughout the history of foreign language, learning has always been an important practical concern, whereas today English is the world's most widely studied foreign language. 500 years ago, it was Latin, for it was the dominant language of education, commerce, religion, and government in the Western world. In the 16th century, however, French, Italian, and English gained in importance as a result of political change in Europe, and Latin gradually became displaced as a language of spoken and written communication. So in the grammar translation method, grammar translation was in fact first known in the United States as the Prussian method. A book by B. Sears, an American classics teacher, published in 1845, was entitled The Seronian or the Prussian method of teaching the elements of the Latin language. This is according to Kelly, 1969. The principal characteristic of the grammar translation method were this: emphasis on learning to read and write. Reading and writing are measured. Little or no systematic attention is paid to speaking and written. Vocabulary selection, especially on the reading text use, and words are taught through bilingual word-based dictionary study and memorization. The sentence is the basic unit of teaching and language practice. 5. Accuracy is emphasized. 6. Grammar is taught deductively. The student's native language is the medium of instruction. Language teaching innovation in the 19th century. Toward the mid-19th century, several factors contributed to adoption of the grammar translation method. increase opportunities for communication among Europeans, create a demand for oral proficiency in foreign language. Initially, this created a market for conversation books and press books intended for private study, but language teaching specialists also turned their attention to the way modern languages were being taught in secondary schools. Increasingly, the public education system was seen to be failing in its responsibilities. In Germany, England, France, and other parts of Europe, new approaches to language teaching were developed by individual language teaching specialists, each with a specific method for reforming the teaching of modern language. Some of these specialists, like C. Marcel, T. Prendergast, and F. Goin, didn't manage to achieve any lasting impact to their ideas are of historical interest. So the next will explained by Vira Yulianti.
Okay.
Okay. Continue ya, Sir.
Yeah.
Next is the reform movement. The discipline of linguistics was revitalized. Phonetics, the scientific analysis and description of the sound systems of language, was established, giving new insight into speech process. Linguists emphasized that speech, rather than the written word, was the primary form of language. The International Phonetic Association was founded in 109,000 and 8,086, and its international phonetic alphabet, or EPI, was designed accurately transcript was to improve the teaching. First is the study of training in order to establish use of context and dialogues to introduce conversational press in an inductive approach to the teaching of grammar. The five teaching new meanings through establishing associations within the target language rather than by associations, the mother tongue. Next. Next. Next, Sweet and other reformers in the late 19th specifically for form believes that the spoken language is primary and that this should in an language. The findings of phonetics should be applied to teaching and to teacher training. The third, learners should hear the language first before seeing it in written form. The fourth, words should be presented in sentence, and sentences should be practiced in meaningful context and not be thought as isolated, disconnected elements. The five, the rules of grammar should be taught only after the students have practiced the grammar points in context. That is, grammar should be taught inductively. The sixth, translation should be be avoided. Also, the mother tongue could be used in order to explain new words or to check comprehension. Next. The next is the direct method. This natural language learning principles provided the foundation for what came to be known as the direct method, which refers to the most widely known of the natural method. Enthusiastic supporters of the direct method introduced it in France and Germany. It was officially approved in both countries at the turn of the century, and it became widely known in the United States through its use by Saussure and Maximilian Berlitz in successful commercial language schools. Berlitz, in fact, never used the term. He referred to the method used in his school as the Berlitz method. In practice, it stood for the following principles and procedures. The first, classroom instruction was conducted exclusively in the target language. The second, only everyday vocabulary and sentence were taught. The third, oral communication skills were built up in a carefully graded progression, organized around question and answer exchange between teachers and students in small intensive classes. The fourth, grammar was taught inductively. The 5 new teaching points were introduced orally. The 6 concentrated vocabulary was taught through demonstration, object, and pictures. Abstract vocabulary was taught by association of ideas. The 7, both speech and listening comprehension were taught. The 8, correct pronunciation and grammar were emphasized. These principles are seen in the following guidelines for teaching oral language, which are still followed in contemporary Berlitz schools. Never translate or demonstrate, never explain or act, never make a speech or ask question, never imitate mistakes or correct, never speak with single words or use sentence, never speak too much, make students speak much, never use the book, use your lesson plan, never jump around, follow your plan, never go too fast, keep the pace of the students, never speak too slowly, never speak too quickly, speak naturally, never speak too loudly, speak naturally, and the last, never be impatient or take it easy. I thank you and warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Oke, coba dibikin Bapak hostnya lagi.
Permisi Pak.
Oke.
Pak, saya mau izin.
Siapa itu?
Mau kamar mandi. Amalia.
Oke, jangan lama-lama ya.
Ya, terima kasih Pak.
Baik, thank you, Alvina and Vira. But here, okay, now please on camera, I want to speak something here. Bapak pengen bicara sesuatu yang serius. Ya. Jadi teman-teman, ya. Tadi alhamdulillah semuanya dan memang presentasi itu bukan sesuatu yang mudah. Presentasi itu bukan sesuatu yang mudah, apalagi referensinya bukan bahasa kita, ya. setelah Bapak perhatikan tadi, membaca saja masih banyak yang masih banyak yang keliru cara pembacaannya. Apalagi Bapak tidak tahu apakah itu paham atau tidak yang disampaikan. Nah, jadi bagaimana kita bisa memahami presentasi kita? Lalu namanya buku atau referensi pendukung, ya, referensi pendukung yang bisa kita pelajari di sumber-sumber internet banyak sekali, ya. Ada yang dalam bahasa Indonesia, ada yang dalam bahasa Inggris di Wikipedia, itu banyak. Jadi ketika kita presentasi itu, kita sebenarnya presentasi itu kan poin-poin penting saja yang kita tulis, ya. Poin-poin penting yang kita tulis, semacam keyword-keywordnya saja. Nah, setelah itu kita berbicara tentang keyword yang kita tuliskan. Jadi bukan menulis ulang yang ada di buku, setelah itu dibaca. Nah, jadi tidak seperti itu presentasi, ya. Tidak mengcopy atau mengetik ulang yang ada di buku, kemudian kalian baca. Nah, itu bukan presentasi. Presentasi itu kan kita memaparkan apa yang kita pahami dari bacaan yang kita baca. Nah, jadi nanti untuk kedepannya, ya, kalau untuk yang pertama ini tidak masalah, mungkin ya memang yang pertama itu selalu hal susah, ya. Untuk kedepannya itu nanti presenter berikutnya coba begitu. Jadi cobalah untuk memahami sedikit, memahami, maksudnya bukan sedikit, memahami apa yang kita presentasikan itu, sehingga kita menyampaikan apa yang kita pahami. Kalau misalkan terkait tahun, hari, segala macam dan itu memerlukan catatan-catatan, ya bolehlah kita baca gitu kan. Kalau jadi misalkan tadi yang dari itu maksudnya apa? Itu dijelaskan. So everyone, the focus of this method, we shouldn't repeat a word, but we demonstrate. For example, the meaning of book. We cannot say book in bahasa Indonesia, we translate it to buku. No, but we have to demonstrate book. This is a picture of book. This is a book. Jadi begitu sehingga itu betul-betul menandakan presentasi, ya. Bagaimana kalau seandainya Bapak dalam presentasi itu salah pemahaman saya, tidak apa-apa. Suatu seperti itu semua. Kalau misalkan kalau paham mesti alhamdulillah, takutnya tidak paham gitu. Dari apa itu Bapak bisa melihat? Dari cara membacanya. Cara membacanya seharusnya koma, nadanya begini kan, belum nadanya naik sudah naik, nadanya sudah berhenti masih naik. Nah, itu kan indikasi bahwa you do not fully di dalam ini kan pembelajaran ini. Presentasi itu belajar juga. Jadi hal yang salah itu wajar sekali. Tidak, bagi saya, kalau saya melihat kalian perform itu bukan melihat salah apa benarnya, tidak. Tapi saya melihat bahwa kalian sudah menunjukkan satu kemajuan, gitu kan, melakukan tugas. Nah, ya. Nah, maka kalian maksimalkan ini untuk jadi latihan, ajang latihan kan. Nah, Jadi itu ya, minggu depan mungkin untuk sekarang ini Bapak terpaksa mengasih materi ini saja dulu. Minggu depan tidak ada ya untuk presentasi. Rubah cara kita berpresentasi itu. Coba kalian lihat orang-orang presentasi oke. Tapi however ya, karena ini masih semester 2 itu tidak masalah. Kamu jangan siapa Vira sama Afina ya, jangan termasukin hati lagi puasa lagi 3 hari nanti. Enggak, jangan ini kritik juga buat semua karena masih semester 2 ya memang gitu. Setiap ada yang perlu kita koreksi akan Bapak kasih input gitu ya. Nah, itulah juga bagian dari proses pembelajaran. Oke, baik. Ada yang bertanya? Ya, untuk saat ini Bapak tidak bisa menyajikan bahan tentang approach, method, dan teknik karena ada satu hal Bapak harus segera menutup Zoom ini. Ya, bagi kalian yang mau mempelajari apa yang akan Bapak presentasikan minggu depan boleh ditulis yaitu approach, method, dan teknik. Ya, approach, method, dan teknik. Baik. Ada pertanyaan? Tidak ada? Nah, kalau tidak ada, terima kasih ya sama si Vira, sama Afina. Oke, insya Allah kedepannya akan lebih baik lagi. Baik teman-teman sekalian, Walilullah, kamu di mana? Baik. Oke, thank you. Ya, baik. Kalau tidak ada pertanyaan, kita cukupkan sekian dulu. Thank you. Sudah ditulis absennya semua ini di chat? Udah ya? Nah, baik.
Sudah, Pak.
Sudah, Bapak save dulu. Oke, good.